Jean. Welcome to Book Talk. Today we are discussing Between the Lines by Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer. Between the Lines is the prequel / companion novel to Off the Page by Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer. Between the Lines was like this refreshing, fun, fluffy, unique fairy tale. I wouldn't compare it to anything I've really read before except for a fairy tale. Between the Lines follows this 15-year-old girl who checked this fairy tale out of her library, and it's a one-of-a-kind book. The author only made one. She illustrated it herself with her paint and everything, and it got put into charity or something, and then it ended up in her high school library. This girl took it out. She loved it. She read it front to back like a million times. She loved the main character, who was this prince named Oliver. One day she's rereading a section and she notices that one of the illustrations in the background has changed. She's flipping through, she gets to the page where it's just the prince on the page, and he talks to her. The character in the book speaks to her, like out loud. She hears him. And it turns out Prince Oliver is trapped inside this book and he wants to get out, and when someone reads it, it feels like he's acting out a play. All the characters in the book act out this play with him, and when the book is closed, they do whatever the F they want, and they're completely different people. They're not who they play in the story. They're their own unique people, and he feels like an actor who's stuck in the same loop forever and ever. And so our main character, Delilah, is trying to help him get out of the book, get his ass into the human world, and while she's doing that, they fall in love. It's like a fairy tale of all fairy tales. The dream of so many readers for the fictional character they're in love with to fall in love with them and want to get out of the book and be with them. It was super cute. You see from Delilah's point of view, and you see from Oliver's point of view, and you also see chapters of the fairy tale that Oliver's in. Now, you might have noticed that this isn't actually the book Between the Lines, because I don't actually have it in physical form, but I wanted to hold something. But I actually read the book via audiobook, so I listened to the book from an audiobook that I got from Audible, because I'm an Audible member. Audible really has changed my reading experience. I can read so much more when I can also listen to a book. If you haven't tried Audible yet, I have an affiliate link where you get a free trial, and just try it. It changes things for you. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Back to In Between the Lines. Now, our June book of the month is Off the Page, and the big question here is, do you have to read In Between the Lines to read and enjoy Off the Page? And the answer is, you don't have to. In Between the Lines is really so simple that you can catch on and just read off the page. But you look at the background for Oliver, the prince, and without that background, you might not feel like you like his character as much. I don't know. I read the first chapter of this book, and Oliver came off really dumb to me. I wanted to know more about him, his story, where he came from, and that's what I learned from In Between the Lines. Now, if you want some rough spark notes on what happens in Between the Lines and you don't want to read this one, you can stay when I tell you to stay for a baby spoiler section, where I tell you what happened in here so you can just jump right into this one. But if what I told you, that adorable fairy tale, sounds like something you want to read, her adventures trying to get this prince out of the book, then you should pick up In Between the Lines, read it. It's super quick and fast. Look at the font and Off the Page. It's really separated and big and easy to read. That's how it felt listening to Off the Page. It really felt like a fairy tale. Today was a fairy tale time. I mean, if you read In Between the Lines already, and if you're reading Off the Page, Oliver, our main prince Oliver, actually has a YouTube channel, and it's like really well made. It's really fun to see Oliver IRL. If you want to check that out, it's really cute. I'm gonna leave a link in the doobly-doo, and there's a link right here if you want to click that. So that's the end of the non-spoiler In Between the Lines section, okay? Now, if you want to stay a little longer, I'm gonna tell you what happened in Between the Lines so that you have the information you need to just jump into this one. So Oliver's in this fairy tale, like I said, and he's this nice guy. In the fairy tale, he falls in love with this princess that he's trying to save from this tower, and in the actual book, when it's closed, that princess thinks that they're in love because she's stupid, but she's actually really dumb, and he's not a really big fan of her. Her name's Serafina. That's another thing I think I gained from reading In Between the Lines. I know his world. I know all those characters, because there's like wizards and mermaids, and there's the queen, who is his mom when they're acting, but in reality is just another character in that book. So he could talk to Delilah from the book, and she can see him moving across the page, which is really interesting when you read that. She can hear him, but no one else can hear him, which is freaky and weird, and her mom sends her to a psychologist because she's really worried about her, because she's talking to a book by herself in her room for like hours at a time. Oliver's really sweet and charming, and he's kind of like an alien because he's lived in this medieval world. He doesn't know about technology and stuff. He doesn't see much. He only sees what he can see when he opened the book, and it looks really big, like we look like the sky to them. And when we open the book to a certain page, he's pulled to wherever that part of the story is. Wherever he is in the book, if he's like chilling by the beach, if she opens the page when he's on the rock wall, he flies back to the rock wall, like forced by the book. It's just so interesting, the technicalities of being inside the book. And to get him out, she tries things like ripping the page. Weird crap happens. He ends up finding a way to get her into the book, but he can't find a way to get himself out. And he thinks, because he's just in his own little world, that this is a great solution for them. But she gets pulled out of her own world and she's freaking out, you know? That upsets her, but then she ends up back in the real world. To get Oliver out, this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to know how he gets out of the book, I'm gonna spoil it right now. It's weird. That process was weird for me. I still don't really get it. They go to the author who wrote the book's house. Her son is like an exact replica of Oliver physically, but not emotionally. He's kind of a loner and he stays in his room a lot. And Delilah hunts down this author and comes to their house and talks to her. And she finds the computer that she typed the story up on. Okay. And she opens the original file. She thinks she can rewrite the end from there. And this is what I'm a little fuzzy on, because she does. She rewrites the whole end of the book and then it kind of resets itself. And then Edgar, the son, who looks like Oliver, decides he's gonna go rewrite the book when she's asleep. And he rewrites it from the beginning. And Oliver in the book tells everyone that the story is gonna change and that they should follow the new directions because it was meant to be something else and this isn't the real story. I don't know, it's confusing, it's weird. Anyway, so Edgar, the son in real life, rewrites the story so that Oliver in the story comes out of the story because he's not the real prince, that Edgar is the real prince, and Edgar, the real son of this author, switches places with Oliver in the real world. So Oliver is pretending to be this woman's son, and he's this fictional character. This son is in a book. I mean, it's magic. I don't get it exactly. I don't get how the mother wouldn't realize that this isn't actually her son, but what in the world would make you think, oh, that's not my son, that's the fictional character I wrote about in my book, come to life, living with me. I mean, that's not gonna happen, so I guess she has to believe it. The mom lives in Massachusetts, and our main character Delilah lives in New Hampshire, and so when Oliver comes out of the book, he's living with this mother who lives in Massachusetts, far away from Delilah, and somehow before school, Oliver convinces his fake mom, well, I guess his real mom because she wrote his book, but you know, his fake mom to move to New Hampshire to be closer to this girl that he's falling in love with. So in the beginning of this book, he's moved and they're about to go to high school together, and it's his first day of high school, and it's really funny because he hasn't interacted much with the real world yet, with humans, and he's lived in a world with fairies and dragons and medieval stuff, and it's cute. It's really cute, fun, fluffy, fairy tale-y stuff. And yeah, that's all you really have to know to jump into Off the Page. You don't even have to know that because you could probably pick up on it through the book. But it's nice to know because it gives you some background, some framework. Because I couldn't help but be really curious about the process of getting this fictional character out of the book. The best part of this is that it actually does follow the exact dream that we would need to happen if we were pulling our favorite character out of a book, you know? Because most of our favorite characters have a love interest that they're in love with in the book. And he does too. But in the real life in the book, he doesn't actually love her, they're actors. So leave the door wide open for you, the reader, to be the love interest. Who would I pull out of the book to fall in love with me? I mean, Percy Jackson or Will Herondale. I'm not sure because it depends if, will they come out with powers? I don't know. Either of them. I mean, if I had the power, I'd take them both out. We'd see what happens. We'd just see. Do I have anything else I want to say about this? I kind of talked about all my feelings about the book when I was summarizing it for you humans who want to skip right to Off the Page. I really wanted her to win that race. She does swim, but she's not very good at it. And she has this one day, she's feeling really good because her relationship with Oliver is going really well and they're falling in love, and she thinks she's gonna win this swim race, and she ends up just really effing it up. When she's doing the backstroke, she crosses sideways 5 lanes and ends up smacking one of the popular girls in the face and breaking her nose. The part when she fell into the book was one of my favorite parts, and I feel like in between the lines is worth reading just to read the sections where they try to get Oliver out of the book and when she's sucked into the fairy tale. It's just so cool to read. It's so cool to imagine yourself doing the same thing. And it was awesome going to that wizard's house and that chaos came out of that bucket and turned Frump back into a guy. Oliver has this friend Frump, and he's a dog, but he was cursed and turned into a dog. He's actually a human. And he's in love with Seraphina, who is Oliver's love interest in the book, but when the book is closed, Frump loves her, and she doesn't pay attention to him because he's a dog, but he's actually a human, and he gets turned back into one. So let me know what you thought of In Between the Lines. If you're gonna read Off the Page with us for the book of the month, our live show for Off the Page will be on July 2nd on my channel. Who would you bring off the page if you had the chance? You know, who would your character be? Thanks for watching. I'm Christine. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at XTINEMAY. Please share your thoughts. I'll talk to you next time. Bye!